be a reporter at all. If they sent me out somewhere to be a reporter, because I would change what people said, I would change, I mean, all of that stuff I would change to facts, throw them right out, you know, I would be awful at it.
Now, one of the most amazing things that you wrote in the book, and this certainly was, and I can't even believe this is true, was your plague of ticks story in the memoirs here.
Oh,
and is that really true? Did you really have an obsessive compulsive disorder for a while?
Well, it started off, you know, that I would have to, it started off with touching things, but then I would have to touch things with my nose, right? And then so it would take me forever to get anywhere. And then I would go home and I would go to bed, and then I would have to get out of bed to go lick the light bulb in the refrigerator.
You and the licking is great.
So I'd lick the light bulb in the refrigerator, and I'd go back to bed, and then I would think, I probably didn't lick that in the right place. So I'd have to get out of bed again and do it again, and then I'd go back to bed, and then I would think, I wonder how many peppercorns are in that spice jar. So I'd have to get out of bed, and this is like 3 o'clock in the morning, count all the peppercorns, and then go back to bed, and then I was sure I miscounted. So I'd have to get up again, and it was exhausting. And then it started with this, and then I would have to do that, and then Now tell me people aren't going to notice that. But because it was so private, I always thought, well, no one notices. And then I went through a phase where what I had to do was I had to take my shoe off and hit myself over the head with the shoe. So it's hard when you're in school, you know, because you're having to do, I mean, I had all these things that I needed to do. And if I was sitting in class, you know, in class it was like the light switch. I had to lick the light switch that was beside the door. So how are you going to get out of your chair to do that? So sometimes I'd be called to the blackboard, and then I'd be like, good, I can lick the light switch on the way back from the blackboard, but you got 30 kids watching. You know, so I'd do it anyway because I had to do it.
I'm amazed.
And I was absolute complete wreck. I mean, and it lasted until I was 20. And then I started smoking, and it went away.
What a remarkable thing. Wow, that's interesting. We'll have to have an expert on the show one of these days and talk about that. Listen, could you read for us one more thing? Would you mind?
Oh, sure. This is from that story that we were just talking about.
Okay. The ticks, the plague of ticks.
And I would have these habits, and then the teachers would write notes home asking my mother if they could come and talk to her about my special problems. So there was always teachers coming to the house. I took to violently shaking my head, startled by the feel of my brain slamming against the confines of my skull. It felt so good and took so little time. Just a few quick jerks and I was satisfied for up to 45 seconds at a time. Have a seat and let me get you something cool to drink. My mother would leave both my 5th and then my 6th grade teachers standing in the breakfast nook while she stepped into the kitchen to crack open a tray of ice. I'm guessing you're here about the head shaking, am I right? She'd shout. That's my boy, all right. No flies on him. She suggested my teachers interpret my jerking head as a nod of agreement. That's what I do, and now I've got him washing the dishes for the next 5 years. I ask, he yanks his head, and it's settled. Do me a favor, though, and just don't hold him after 5 o'clock. I need him at home to straighten up and make the beds before his father gets home. This was part of my mother's act. She played the ringleader, blowing the whistle and charming the crowd with her jokes and exaggerated stories. When company came, she often pretended to forget the names of her 6 children. Hey, Agnes or George, whatever your name is, how about running into the bedroom and finding my cigarette lighter? She noticed my tics and habits, but was never ashamed or seriously bothered by any of them. Her observations would be collected and delivered as part of a routine that bore little resemblance to our lives. It's a real stretch, but I'm betting you're here about the tiny voices, she said, offering a glass of sherry to my visiting 7th grade teacher. I'm thinking of either taking him to an exorcist or buying him a doll so he can bring home some money as a ventriloquist. It had come out of nowhere, my desperate urge to summon high-pitched noises from the back of my throat. These were not words, but sounds that satisfied an urge I'd never before realized. The sounds were delivered not in my voice, but in that of a thimble-sized, temperamental diva, clinging to the base of my uvula. I was host to these wailings, but lacked the ability to control them. When I cried out in class, the teachers would turn from their blackboards with increasingly troubled expressions. Is someone rubbing a balloon, they'd ask? Who's making that noise?
David, thanks so much for being on More Than a Mouthful.
Oh, thanks so much
best
for
of
having
luck
me.
on your next projects, whatever they are. You know, I mean, you've got a lot on your plate, and I know that we're going to be hearing a lot more about you. So thanks so much, David, for being on More Than a Mouthful. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Coming up next here on More Than a Mouthful, we have first-time novelist Karen Cook.